We are here to discuss how offline and online are coming together. We know that being omni-channel present is a must for everybody, be it the established brand or the startups. But more specifically, we are here to discuss how and what strategies are required to integrate online and offline better. Moreover, we will also discuss how social media is helping brands to acquire customers organically. And we will, towards the end of the discussion, will try to come up with specific trends which will come up in next 5 years in the retail sector. To start with this conversation, can we have the men on the panel to start? Mr. Bansal, tell us what has really changed in the last couple of years in terms of consumer behavior when we are witnessing that more and more customers are now putting their convenience first, and they are preferring online channels more. What transformation do you see, and also how has it impacted on your business and sales growth?
So I don't think so Liberty requires any introduction. We run about 400 exclusive stores, and as the panel suggests, it is talking about the new consumerism which is coming with the online and the social media. So definitely it has been a tough and a challenging journey to move the customer with the times. And I think especially post-COVID, where home shopping or home convenience became the transformation. So Liberty's focused journey on online only started about 5 years back while we were present. The big shift happened post-COVID, where the consumers started having expectation of a lot of home delivery, shopping from home. We always thought footwear is a very touch and feel product. At the same time, post-COVID, I think all our norms were to be challenged, and we had to move a traditional business brick and mortar to a more modern, online ready and the consumer ready. And today, consumer is very ready, and you need to keep on adapting with its changes. It has its own challenges, which we can talk about various challenges while we were talking earlier on the returns or the preferences. How do we invest money on making ourselves relevant? How much money we should put on the digital advertising? All these are challenges, and depending on every brand's journey, they need to keep on addressing challenges accordingly. While as a traditional brand, we can't really defocus on our brick and mortar store, but at the same time, we need to get enough focus on the new gen customer which is ready to buy online. And how do we make ourselves relevant, give the same experience? If we are giving a touch and feel, how do we give the same touch and feel online? Shoot the content becomes a new marketing tool. While your salesman was your spokesman, but I think your website also needs to become your spokesman. And it is important to focus there. Your experience on delivery, your experience on return, your experience on everything is important, and I think you can't really ignore it. While we all agree social media is a burn, at the same time you can't live without it either. So I think we need to balance it out, and in each brand's journey, it is important how you understand your consumer, what kind of mind space they consume on social media, and how you can do your targeted marketing there. At the same time, it is important to control your budget, to control your horses. At the same time, you can't be absent from that thing.
I agree, and it's really critically important for every brand to be present at every channel. Ms. Shukla, I would want to know from you what strategies exactly are in play at Jaypore in terms of enhancing the synergies between online and offline. Also tell us what was not so good in the last couple of years when it comes to the results of going online.
So Jaypore.com primarily has been a digital brand first. When Aditya Birla Group acquired it, the website was all present and they had 2 stores. We at Aditya Birla Group specialize in expanding to stores. So the journey that has been happening in the last couple of years has been on expansion of stores as well as growing our e-commerce business. When you ask me what was not so good, let's say in the last 2-3 years, see, COVID kind of bummed all of us. So certain categories, the share went up. Essentials went up, food went up. Suddenly a lot of food shopping, grocery shopping, because you were sitting at home, went up. But we were selling premium ethnic wear, and when I say premium ethnic wear, this is Chanderi silk kurtas, this is jewelry. Now everybody was in their track pants at their home, so suddenly that premium category wasn't finding that much traction. But then what we realized, that after about 2-3 months of settling into the COVID year, people were becoming more and more home proud, and suddenly the share of what people were purchasing for home, which may be linen, bed sheets, decor, everything else, that went up, and the losses that we made on apparel, we more than made up, in our home section. So online is an important channel for us. Online, like everybody, all the panels that have been speaking before, you can't not exist there. Anybody who reads a brand name anywhere, the first thing they go and Google about them. And when they find an online store, they find the reassurance that they exist. So to be available as Jaypore.com is an important thing, and the plan is to grow and make it bigger and bigger and take it global. At the same time, when you're selling a premium product, the touch feel part comes into it. In the online, of course, the convenience is there that you can order it at home and then try and do that. But I think the consumer, and especially the women consumer, also enjoy the whole process of going to the store. And when you have products which are made with a lot of karigari, the karigari is far more appreciated when the product is in front of you. Lots of subtle, delights are not so visible on online. And that's when, the combination of the fact that first the woman, browses through the online catalog, says that I like all of this, I like at least 10 products, makes up her mind, and then says, okay, I'll go to the store. What we need to do in forward to make it even more seamless and convenient for her is that she should be able to discover that all these 10 kurtas that I liked online, they are available at which store nearby, so that her journey is not wasted. She makes up her mind to go to the store, and then half of the products were not available. Then she's disappointed. So what technology has to do in future, and we are working on that, is to ensure that she is able to look at, let's say, the Palladium store and say, okay, Palladium store stock is this, and block 5 styles for her and say, I'll be there at 5 o'clock in the evening, and be able to go and try. So there has to be a seamless journey between discovery on online and execution on offline, and vice versa. So many times we are standing in the store, we're looking at stuff, but we're comparing prices of the products, looking at various other websites. So this journey is more and more becoming, almost getting blurred into each other, and we've got to be present at both places.
So good to know. Coming to you, Ms. Kohli, when we all know that the number of digital transactions is going up, also both of the other panelists have already talked about the customers are more into online shopping. When it comes to your venture, which started online, what really compelled you to enter brick and mortar? What were some of the developments at your end?
So the space that I'm coming from, I really think that online is overemphasized. Because I think what matters is stuff that my panelists colleagues have already mentioned. One is, what is your product? Second is, who is your target group? Are they primarily online or not? So I'll speak about my product, which is comfort wear, which is smart comfort. You can wear the same thing and enter different spaces, as I'm doing right now. I can take a flight, I can sleep on it, I can go for a walk, I can come for a meeting and everything, and I'm in the same outfit. And our sizes are from XS to 3XL, and I mentioned that because we are targeting people. We find that our target group is 35 to 70. When we started online, we thought our target group would be 18 to say 50. But we found that there is the older ladies who appreciate comfort far more, while the younger ones can get into narrow, thin, tight, and it doesn't matter. But as you hit 35 and above, you are looking for comfort, and if you find style and comfort together, you're delighted. But as Rashmi mentioned, the client wants to try the product, feel the product, and fit into the product to see. So often when somebody orders online, they ask us 5 times over WhatsApp, Will I fit into this? Will I fit into this? And we assure them, and we're able to do that not because we were only online, though we launched online, but over the last year and 2 months, we have done exhibitions in as many cities as we could. And that has really grown our online clientele. So if I were to, and we are not on any platform. Now this comes as a shock to a lot of people who think of us as a startup, that you're not on Amazon, you're not on Flipkart, how do I access you? We say go to our website. And from the founder, from this point of view, I can, from this side of the line, I can tell you that our online traffic is very small, because we find, like you said, Rashmi, as we were talking outside, that people Google us, and your online presence is important for people to know that you exist. But it doesn't necessarily help you so much, at least not just helping us as much. We are getting repeat clientele from our exhibitions who are now going online and say, I know your product, I'm wearing your product, I know how it feels, I know how it fits. And therefore, I want these colors and these styles. So to sum it up, I think online is as Anupam said, it is a reality, and the whole world is moving towards it. I think there are a lot of things on online we can talk about, which I think are overemphasized. I think you can't leave behind the real world, brick and mortar. And one other point I want to say, when you're talking about trends online, you know, in the next 2 years or in the last 2 years since COVID, online has become very important. Well, yes, to an extent, but the online world, we have to understand the nature of the online world, and it is defined by a client who is restless. And because that's what digital is doing to us. It is making us more and more restless, because that's the technology. So the client is always looking for the next new and the next big thing. So we have to bear that in mind when we are talking about online and we're talking about future projections. And one last point on what Anupam said also, he has 400 stores across the country. I think the third thing that matters about online and offline is, where are you coming from? What brand are you? So Liberty, I know Liberty from the time I was growing up. And therefore Liberty online would have, you know, is an additional presence. Otherwise Liberty is, as far as anybody knows Liberty, except for, the generation that's 30, now maybe 30 years old, is and younger, would be online. But otherwise we know it from brick and mortar. And the last point, I'm sorry I'm rambling, but I have so many things to say. I read an advertisement in the not the New York Times, it was the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, which is again from, is a paper from abroad, which said on the front page, quarter page advertisement that says, there must be a reason why digital brands want to advertise in print.
Good to know, and you're leaving our audience with a very thought-provoking topic here. But coming to you, Mr. Bansal, tell us, how do you evaluate, how do you scale and measure the success of your synergy between online and offline? Also give us a sense of your ratio of growth and sales growth, which is coming from online and offline. What are your current focus areas? Are you, very high on being online? What are some of the results?
So when we started, obviously we started from zero, and I think that journey was just about 5 years back. Today, the contribution from online is about 20%. So I don't know, is that big or small? While again, I insist on the fact, we will have to grow with the way consumer is growing. And we want to be available for us online and offline. Both are consumer touch points, and consumer chooses which one they opt. As a brand, we are not trying to make anyone preferable. I think we want to focus on our omni experience, so that the same products are available online and offline, while as per the market need, there could be some products which could be exclusive to online, or some products exclusive to online, for them to be relevant for that experience per se. At the moment, the trend shows the higher growth in online than offline. This is what the trend I'm observing from both the data when we study. We understand challenges of both, and we need to keep on addressing both rather than making a choice. So for us, it is not a choice. While we understand adding brick and mortar stores is a lot more capital intensive, and adding online is more OPEX expensive but not capital expensive. So I think each brand will make their own choices and take it forward. As far as the media consumption is concerned, we have observed that digital consumption of media has far more measurability of the result rather than impact. Say, like for example, earlier there was a newspaper ad. Whether that ad was read or not read, you can't really do. But at least in the online, you're able to get the consumer to straight away take action if the person needs to. So I think that's an advantage, which as a marketer I always had a challenge that you were doing so much of TV advertising or print advertising, but you couldn't get the consumer in the same mind. And I think digital is helping you do so, and you're able to get the customer, because I got a lot of feedback earlier that this ad, style is advertised, but we don't know where to buy from. And in case of digital, today you are able to get the consumer to buy after the consumer advertising. So I think these are certain strengths I see in the medium, and you are able to showcase whatever you want to, whether the person wants to consume that medium in still or video, you are putting all of that on a single platform, and I think medium helps you to do so. I feel it may deliver a far better conversion in long term, while if the person wants to go to the store after consuming advertising, not buy online, that's a customer choice. We should not really drive out of it.
Adding to it, I feel that somehow your presence across the channels kind of adds to your brand pull sometimes, because everybody feels that Liberty is a brand that's there already in the market and everybody knows it. But still, if a Gen Z or let's say a millennial person would get to know that it's available online, the brand presence, the brand loyalty would go up. If you could share how social media presence, or as he rightly mentioned about advertising and marketing, how is it helping, and what are some of the newer strategies of being present on social media is helping brands going online, and also in terms of organic customer acquisition?
Social media has become an important tool to use, and like me and Vandana were discussing, there's a part which is evil to it, and there's a part that you have to use for your benefit. What you need to see is that these social media platforms are changing at a rate faster than even you're able to catch up. The Instagram algorithm changes every day, and your content person's trying to catch up, saying, okay, now what is today's challenge, that you have moved from stills to reels, and now from reels to shorts, and now what is trending. So one, you have to stay updated. Two, I think you also have to take a step away and say, what is my brand philosophy? What is the organic content that I want to convey to the consumer? So for example, at Jaypore, we do a whole lot of India culture centric posts, and which are not about product and kharido and sell, etc. And that resonates a lot with our older consumers, because they really love the rare snippet of Indian history that we bring about. And that kind of organically grows and takes it, it starts trending and it starts getting viral, etc. So you have to be very, very careful about what content you are generating. Of course, during let's say sale time, I will have to push my sales messages, and I'll have to be present at the right Facebook and Instagram channel, etc. These are faster mediums to, I have to conduct a 3-day pop-up sale tomorrow. By the time I will plan my print and all that, I would have lost the time. But in social media, I can be planning today evening and be live tomorrow. And like Anupam said, everything is measurable. Who came to that ad, from which phone, did they come from Apple or Samsung or wherever? What did they browse on? How long did they stay on my page? Why did they bounce off? Was there a consumer friction journey? So it's measurable, and hence it makes it more critical, because you can take actions. Now, how much of it do you invest into it? Because there isn't an end to it, and paid performance marketing is, it's almost literally buying orders, eventually with not enough bottom line. So you have to balance between organic and paid. And that's I think that's the advice to everybody who's trying to do that balancing.
I can add to this, organic is a new paid. So I think the more focus you do on your organic content, and obviously that doesn't come free of cost. So I think that is the best paid medium you should focus. And I think I would advise everybody to focus almost 80 to 90% on organic and how you use your internal customer data rather than always trying to get to the new base. Obviously, you need about 10 to 20 new customers percent to be added, but I think keep on retargeting the same customer, understanding their buying journey, how often they can come to you, and build them as your regular customer. I think that would be a key part of strategy. So I'm saying online helps you to do a better CRM management also.
I somewhat agree, and a lot of newer brands in D2C space would agree, because they are continuously using performance marketing, reels, and collaborating with influencers and that marketing per se. If you, Ms. Kohli, if you could add to this and also tell us, for a newer brand, how to decide, when to decide it is an inflection point to scale up, scale further, be it going brick and mortar offline presence, be it infusing more capital in your social marketing. I mean, when is it right time to scale up, go beyond what you're already doing?
Well, to start it, I feel that as a startup, digital marketing is not cheap. Maybe it was at some point in time, but now it's not. So when I've had in the last year and a half people come to me and say, we'll handle your digital marketing and you have to market digitally and it'll cost you from 25 lakhs to 2 crores a year. So it's not cheap, So I think to myself of all the other things that I can do in that money. And therefore, that coming back to the other point, that I think it matters when Jaypore grew online. At a time when there was not so much noise online. At the moment, there is so much noise because everybody has a social media account, everybody is online, so you need to make more noise to be heard over the existing noise, and then you make more noise over that to be, so it's endless. And therefore, when a digital marketer comes and he says, these are the plans that you have and this is what you should be doing, I say, but isn't that like putting out an arrow in the universe and hoping that's going to hit something? And well, the honest ones, 2 of the honest ones so far admitted. So it's difficult to decide that should I go this way or should I go that way. I think what makes you decide is ultimately what is the client asking. And we have been asked so many times, where is your store? We tell them we are online, you can go to our website, you can look at our stuff, you can call for it, though we don't offer returns. And that is a policy because ours is stretch wear. We can't have someone call for something, then force themselves in it. It's fine quality, ruin the product and bring. And for the second reason, that our margins are so small that we don't have a margin for a second delivery. So our policy says that if you want to exchange, you will have to send it back to us. And then for one exchange in for one exchange in size, we allow you, but we don't allow any returns. And there's a second thing. You see, this is where brand philosophy matters. Yeah. The whole brand philosophy of Tulip Comfort Wear so far is understated, quiet, smart, elegant. For the noise that I have to make on social media, that actually goes against my brand philosophy. So if Armani had to make this much noise, I'm not sure Armani would have been Armani. It would have been a different brand altogether, because what are you putting out there? How are you putting it out there? What are you saying and what are you not saying? I think my belief so far is that it will take longer, and if we survive that journey, then we may have a point to prove. And also the fact that, as I said, the digital market space is changing so quickly that you don't know what's the next thing. Now it is uncool to be on social media. In the US, now it's uncool. When there was the COVID push, Zoom had to hire so many people and it became so big, and then after that it had to lay off so many people. So that shift is happening so quickly. That doesn't happen as quickly in brick and mortar. Of course, something like COVID would devastate businesses. But there are other things that we need to look at, and one of them is climate change. But I won't overstep the gun. When you talk about the future, maybe I'll put that point in. I think I agree with everybody, with my colleagues so far and you, that you have to do a mix of both. But ultimately, what is the client saying to you should determine, at this point in time, what is my next step?
Again, coming back to your point, it is very critical to understand where are you coming from, what is your brand ethos and philosophy. Mr. Bansal, if you would want to add on the point of return policy and how is it really impacting your numbers of growth?
So definitely it's a critical point. I would agree that having open return policy is definitely a deterrent, and in footwear industry today you experience almost 20 to 30%, and which is a pure, I would say, operational nightmare and headache to handle that kind of a product. Uh, I have been promoting about only prepaid orders and not no cash on delivery. I've been talking about selective returns. At the same time, the expectations created from the peers force you to follow because the consumer is expecting the same thing. Today, if you tell customer that no, I don't want to exchange, they don't even want to buy from you because that's an expectation. Probably, if I am not giving as a brand, there are multiple people giving. How can you be cautious? How do you really analyze your data? Why returns are coming? How do you start bucketing the customers? Like our CRM data starts now focusing on customers and blocking those customers for exchange and return, where you see that happening often. For a customer experience, if the person is ordering, they want to try, they want to experience, for sure we want to encourage. And similarly, like in Jaypore, we heard encourage people to browse online, see at store. How you start minimizing that and getting your team to focus on that KRA, yeah, I think is an important. To suddenly jerk them on a complete no return policy is something which can be challenging in today's time. While I understand the fact it is an important area where we should not encourage customer to have unrealistic expectations, at the same time, today's youth is very unreal. Their expectation have been created in the digital age, and the right balance need to be maintained between what's doable and what's not really doable.
Cut out on what's so uncool per se. Consumer demands and dynamics will continue to be very, very versatile and dynamic and unreal in some cases. But coming to you, Ms. Shukla, what would you say in next 5 years? How would this whole movement or development will shape up the retail sector in next 5 years?
I think both channels will exist. Both channels will have to up the game in terms of technology. So for example, one of the very, very important part of the omni-channel piece is live syncing of inventory. Once you get that piece, because that's the most complicated piece. I am sitting in Bangalore and I have ordered 4 kurtas. For the system to decide that do they service this kurta to me from HSR layout store, which is nearest to my house, or do they send it to me from Bangalore DC warehouse, or do they send it to me from Delhi warehouse DC? Because in Delhi warehouse DC, all 4 kurtas are available. So I'll get 1 courier. Versus if they go from stores, I might get 1 from HSR, 1 from Mumbai, 1 from something. So there is a logistics cost versus consumer experience. I recently had this experience from a large format store. I ordered some 6-7 things, and I actually got 7 separate couriers over 8 different days. That wasn't a very nice experience, and I also was, because I'm also in the same business, I was like, this must have costed them far more than had they actually sent it to me as 1 shipment from their warehouse. So I think retailers and businesses will have to calculate, at one side there is the lure of consumer convenience, and we have been making them more and more addicted to convenience, and hence they demand more. But you also are running a business, and you have to see, which is why a lot of people, like she's saying that I have started charging for the return, saying, make that effort, and that's sometimes then the consumer's like, okay, you know what, I really don't need to return. Otherwise they had gotten used to saying, 2-3 order karo, 1 rakhenge, 2 wapas kar denge. Now that's 30% returns can actually, wipe away your bottom line. So somewhere the businesses will have to make these calls a little harder, to say, yes, we are all about convenience, and we will ensure that we make either the product reach your house, or your experience in our stores is very good. But let's also balance out the cost, because at the end of the day, we're paying you a service, and abroad, because they are ahead in the curve, they have started charging for a lot of service. Yeah. Curbside pickup, click and collect, a whole lot of these are slowly becoming chargeable. So I think we will see these trends coming in the country also, that retailers will start saying that, okay, in the first leg, I'm okay to, I will pay for the first mile journey, but for the second mile, let's do 50-50, and for the third mile, if you're still not happy, I think you should pay for it. So the consumer will become a little more conscious of, and then there is a lot of talk of sustainability and carbon footprint. At least the evolved consumer will start thinking twice about the fact that is it really healthy for me that मैंने लिबर्टी के 3 जूते order कर दिए, एक रखूँगा 2 वापस भेज दूँगा. You know, it kind of starts bothering you at some point in time. When you're younger, you are a little, you know, you're wanting to experiment, you're discovering things, etc. But as you get older and you also start thinking what my actions are doing, you start becoming a little more responsible. So I think in the next 5 years, I see some consolidation of both channels happening. I see some amount of charging for services, things that we've gotten used to as free. And I also see the consumer getting a little more mature about it.
So if you were to put that into real example, like movie tickets, now I think whether you buy from Book by Show or anything, they have started charging money because you don't want to queue there. You're always paying 300 to 400 rupees as a service charge to book airline tickets, which consumer never realized, but I think it's happening automatically. Business models are getting evolved. I'm just clearly putting it, now nobody's buying airline tickets because they eradicated the whole process of buying tickets through the counters. I think it's only available online, and you are paying always premium to buy online. So people are paying for technology, and I'm sure in consumer journey, people will start paying for it slowly. And I think how smartly you will be able to charge the consumer for that service or when to discount for that opportunity. I think all businessmen are intelligent enough to to track that journey. At the same time, I think to take from that ad, today social media is uncool, but I think the way we should look at it is, let's take example from the cinema. There were DVDs, cinemas went round. Again, PVR redefined the way cinemas was watched. People moved from their DVDs at home and they went into cinemas. Post-COVID, Netflix came in. It's the movie, but people will watch movie. How they're consuming movie through cinema to TV, I think it's a journey which consumer will keep on challenging you to overperform, and the medium will change, but not the consumption. So maybe Facebook will become uncool, Insta will become uncool, but tomorrow something else, because to get back to newspaper and read stale news would never become cool. So I think the way the medium will transform and new mediums will keep on coming, but and obviously some people would say, okay, I don't want mobile and I want to just go to a mountain where no mobile functions. Yes, there would be some people, but then something else would become cool and you need to evolve to that medium rather than getting stuck to what you're doing.
The pace of the change and development is so quick these days. It is really unimaginable. Coming to you, these days customers are more open in terms of experimenting with newer brands. They know that there are, in every sector, across the brands, across the segments, there are established brands in the market, but consumers are more open in terms of trying new things, given the brand's assurance of comfort, let's say convenience, and many other such principles. Tell us what is up next for Tulip, and give us a sense, in your opinion, how would this whole sector would shape up in next 5 years?
I think there's a huge market for comfort wear, because I find people are now, COVID has done that, but even before that, I think that we are being defined by what is being told to us as fashion, what we should be wearing. So for instance, I started Tulip Comfort Wear because from my own journey, I had a couple of, I have a sensitive stomach, I had a couple of small procedures, and I couldn't get into my jeans, and I'd live in my pants. And I wanted something that was so comfortable, and then I did some research and I found that the drug sold maximum over the counter in the world, in any chemist, is antacid. And it's coming from the fact that we're wearing wrong clothes. So, I think really all this is defined, everything that you're asking is defined by ultimately what is it that we are seeking, how assertive the customer is on what exactly he or she needs from a health point of view. But I would like to comment on your earlier question, and I'm taking off both from what Rashmi said and from what Anupam said. I think it is so important for us to become, as companies who are putting out something in the retail space, it's not just the consumer who's defining what we should do. We also need to define what should be acceptable for everybody. And that's where sustainability becomes such an issue, because we find there are more returns. If you throw in the cost of returns, not just in terms of the back and forth, but in terms of the packaging, You know, I read an article in the New York Times about almost 8-9 years ago where they are processing all the cardboard that comes from Amazon or from any other you know, delivery that happens. And the guys who are processing it at the end of the article said there are only 2 words for me to say: slow down. So that's one. The second is there's a huge hidden cost to digital, which we have still not started talking about because it's inconvenient to all our businesses, which we will have to confront sooner than later. I don't want to be a, you know, a dampener, but I think the sooner we confront it, the better we will be prepared to go around it, and the better we'll be prepared while others grapple with it. And to give you one example, or rather 2 quick examples, there was a study that was published in 2018, which was run by the BBC, which said that the cost of streaming video games online is more than the cost of making those DVDs and distributing them through brick and mortar. The cost that went into just looking at Despacito, which is this one huge, you know, hit song, again 2017, which was at that time about 5-6 billion views it has. Now it has probably 7-8 billion views. The energy cost that it took to watch that online is equivalent to the energy consumed by 5 West African countries in an entire year. So we are not talking about, the cloud is not a cloud. You know, digital is not digital, it's not virtual, it has real costs. And if we are talking about the planet and we're talking about sustainability, we all have to become more aware that if you've ordered something, there's a cost to it. If you're putting out an ad there or a message there, there is a cost to it. One thank you less, they calculated in Britain, in England, would be 15,000 cars off the road for the year, digitally. So once we become aware, once that enters the space of conversation, which is inconvenient for all of us, then we will actually have a real sense of how local should we be and how global we should be.
So good to know. This was so insightful, and I'm sure this is a phase of evolution, and consumers will become mature going forward, be it retail sector and be it any other sector. One solid point you made is, of course, digital has a hidden cost, and that we and every other business need to confront it as soon as possible in terms of how sustainably, how in longer term they can keep their business running. On this note, I would like to thank all my panelists. Thank you so much. This was a really insightful conversation. Thank you.